And we are live. Good evening, everyone. We are about 19% away from fully funding the ETH 2.0 contract. And once we fully fund this contract, we're going to be able to launch the Ethereum 2.0 beacon chain and the Casper, which is the proof of stake algorithm. This is going to be extremely important in terms of making Ethereum more scalable so that it can rival and compete with the legacy and traditional financial system. Right now, Ethereum is trading at $605. And that's because you need 32 ETH in order to be a validator and a staker in this new proof of stake system that we are moving to. And as you can see, it's putting a lot of buying pressure on Ethereum. And to be honest with you, everything is up right now today. Bitcoin's up, Ripple's up, Chainlink's up, you name it, everything is up. But when we start thinking about DeFi, this is really, really powerful once you really start wrapping your mind around what Ethereum is trying to accomplish here. If you go back to 2008, when Satoshi first released the Bitcoin white paper, he had the idea of trying to fix our monetary system, right? But he only had currency in mind. And currency is just a small segment of finance. So while he was smart enough to think about that, it didn't go far enough. And when you understand that finance is bigger than just currency, you have to think about lending, borrowing, derivatives, margin trading, insurance, debt markets, capital markets, right? In order to really fix our monetary system, right? To fix our financial system, you have to think about all of the other aspects of finance besides just currency. So that's what Vitalik had in mind when he was trying to create Ethereum, to create something that was much more scalable and robust than Bitcoin. Bitcoin does one thing and one thing really well. It is a store of value, but it's slow and you can't really build anything on top of it. Now, that's not to say that that Ethereum is better than Ripple or that Ripple is better than Bitcoin. They all do different things. And I think that we have to lose this tribal nature of thinking that somehow, one cryptocurrency is better than the other. They all are designed to do different things. Now, the question you have to start saying to yourself is the vision that I'm being sold needed? Can the team that's trying to actually make this vision true, can they deliver on it? These are things that you have to actually start thinking about when you are looking to invest. Now, me personally, you know that I'm not a fan of Ripple. I think that the technology is useless. I think that it's garbage. But anything can pump and you can make money. But I want you to keep this in mind, right? When you are investing, remember Lehman Brothers had a market cap at one point. Lehman Brothers pumped at one point. Keep that in mind. BitConnect, it pumped at one point. BitConnect had a market cap. Dentacoin had a market cap. Ripple has no value, has no use case. It's garbage. But again, you have to find what you want to invest in. So when I look at decentralized finance, we see real world use case. People are actually using Ethereum. You don't see any of this use case happening with a lot of these other blockchains. And this goes back to the network effect. As more and more people get onboarded and they start using this technology, and then as this technology becomes more scalable, you have to look at Ethereum like a gravity well for assets. Because as of right now, the only asset that you can tokenize or that you can use as collateral is other cryptocurrencies. But when you start thinking about taking physical assets from the real world, like real estate, and tokenizing that, and you start thinking about taking stocks and companies and bringing them onto the blockchain and tokenizing them, and you start thinking about making physical assets digital, that's when you really start understanding the real use case of Ethereum and decentralized finance. Ethereum is going to be a gravity well for physical assets. So I think that you need to make sure that you are keeping a proper perspective in mind and understand that Ethereum and Bitcoin can coexist at the same time, because we currently have more wrapped Bitcoin sitting on top of Ethereum than we have sitting inside of the Lightning Network, right? So understand that with decentralized finance, it's bigger than just currency, right? It's not just trying to be a bridge, right? We're talking about actually having a financial economy. Like Ethereum is an economy based upon finance. And when you start thinking about how big is the global real estate market and tokenizing those assets, when you think about how big tokenizing, let's say, wine, you can tokenize art, non-fungible tokens, right? When you start going down that rabbit hole of real world physical assets that you can tokenize and bring onto the blockchain, you start understanding that this can be extremely large. And now we start going into the idea about the internet. See, you can't look at what Ethereum is today or what Bitcoin is today, or even Ripple, if you like Ripple. You have to say to yourself, what will this technology be in the next 3 to 5 years? Because as I said to you before, this is technology at the end of the day. It's not just the currency. These are protocols. And with Ethereum, you have the ability to invest in the base layer protocol. And now you start looking at this like money Legos, where you're going to be able to stack other protocols and assets and tokens on top of that base layer protocol, going back to the internet. See, what a lot of you don't understand is that the internet is just an application that's running on top of a stack of protocols. And we're going to cover that today. The difference with that stack is that the tech companies and other companies were able to create value through that application, and they were able to capture that value, but they captured it in a centralized way. We now, for the first time, we have the ability to invest in the base layer protocol and then be able to capture all of that wealth that's going to be stacked on top of that base layer protocol. Because as of today, there are no other DeFi protocols that's capturing any wealth but Ethereum. I can't think of any other DeFi protocol that actually has a dApp that's competitive with any of the dApps that's built on top of Ethereum. So they clearly have the first mover's advantage and a network effect. So again, I just want to start driving that home, and that's what we're really going to focus on. And so we start building from there, because if you look at a cell phone back in 1988, 1999, and you look at what a cell phone can do today in 2020, I mean, you would have never fathomed or believed in your wildest dreams that a cell phone would be able to FaceTime someone, that you would pay your bill from a phone back in 1988. But again, that's the power of technology. You have to be able to see the future and not just see all of the problems today. So that's what we are going to be building on. It's an exciting time to be involved in crypto right now, because anything you're investing in right now, Cardano, Polkadot, Litecoin, Link, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, everything is up. But again, what I believe, and we get to see it, is that over time, the cream of the crop is going to race to the top. And you need to make sure that you're focused on and investing in projects that will be here in the next 3 to 5 years. So please do me a favor as you come into the live stream, like this video, share this video, subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification bell and you set it to all. Also, make sure that you join my mailing list so that you could be notified when I'm going live, because certain topics that I talk about, YouTube just won't send out the notifications. For example, like crypto. YouTube is very iffy with crypto content. So by you being on my mailing list, I can send you an email and notify you that I am going live. Also, if you want to contact me, a link to my Instagram is in the description below. Simply click the link, follow me on Instagram, and you can shoot me a DM, and you and I could begin to dialogue. If you are interested in learning about blockchain technology and about cryptocurrencies, about how to develop and build different cryptocurrencies, I created My Tech Academy. We currently have a coding boot camp going on, and we have a free 7-day trial. You are welcome to come test out the service and see if you like it, and you are welcome to stick around. If you would like to book a consultation with me, you can also come to My Tech Academy and book a consultation. Today is Monday. I believe that I'm free for the week. I haven't checked my schedule. So for those of you who are looking to book a consultation, I am here for you. Also, for those of you who are looking to invest in the project that I have coming up, remember the minimum investment amount is $25,000. I'm not looking for mom and pop investors, no disrespect, but I'm looking for qualified people who understand risk versus reward and who know what they who has an understanding as to what they are getting themselves involved in. I had to stop sending out the prospectus because I have to change some of the language in the prospectus because I can't word it as a fund because we're talking about cryptocurrency and a lot of these cryptocurrencies aren't regulated in certain jurisdictions. So we're going to basically fall back from the idea of a fund, and it's more or less you're investing in my company. So by Wednesday, the prospectus should be edited, and then I'll be able to send that out to you guys for those of you who are interested in getting involved. And I think that covers everything. If you can see me clearly and hear me clearly, just type 1 in the chat and we can get started on our live stream. Okay, that's good. So I want to cover this real quick because I think that this is important. Let's bring this up real quick. This right here, this phone, this is the Motorola 8000. This phone, I believe, was released in 1989. I want you to look at this phone and I want you to think about what your phone can do today. If I came to a person who had this phone back in 1989 and I said to them, you're going to get to the point one day where your phone is going to be able to call someone in another country and you'll be able to see that person in your phone. They may have entertained that conversation, but they would have entertained it from the standpoint of this being a sci-fi movie. Now, in the book, The Price of Tomorrow, a book that I require all of my students to read, Jeff Booth spoke about this phone. And it's important to understand how technology evolves over time, because you have to understand that when you're dealing with cryptocurrencies, you're not just dealing with the currency, you're dealing with technology that's going to evolve over time. So in the book on page 27, Jeff Booth wrote, cell phones in 1988 were quite rare, and the Motorola 8000 was one of the first to be truly portable. Before that, they needed to be carried in suitcases. The phone was about the size and weight of a brick with a long antenna. It had 30 minutes of talk time before it needed to be charged for 10 to 12 hours, and it cost about $2,000 just for the phone. And the monthly phone bill after all of the charges was $1,200 per month to have a cell phone back in 1989. How much does your phone bill cost today? How much does it cost you for a phone today? Think about how you have so many applications on your phone that you can use for free or for near free, it may cost you $5, $10. That's extremely deflationary. And what you have to start understanding is that the reason why Apple is a $2 trillion company today is because the technology that they created, it started to bleed into other industries and other companies, and it started to gobble those companies up. So when we're talking about a wealth transfer, remember, wealth is never destroyed. It's just transferred to the more efficient player in that space. So Apple was able to capture all of that wealth and become a $2 trillion company because no one understood how many different industries the iPhone and the iPad and the MacBook would bleed into and eat up. And it's the same thing with the cell phone. Follow this, because I'm telling you, when you start looking at Bitcoin and you start looking at Ethereum and you start saying to yourself, we're early right now. We're talking about a baby. I always say this, but I have to reiterate this to you. We're talking about an asset class that's worth $500 billion. We're talking about a baby right here. The stock market's worth over $100 trillion. So when you understand where we're going, you understand the importance of Ethereum 2.0 and the scalability and where we can possibly go if we can start tokenizing and bringing physical real world assets onto the blockchain. And I'm going to get into the video of the PayPal CEO and all of those different things. But I really just want you to start understanding that you are investing in technology when you are investing in these protocols. This is very, very important. So now, when we pull up the stack, I want to pull up the stack, right? On the left here, this is the stack, the internet suite, right? These are the protocols that makes up the internet, that gives you the ability to be able to use the internet. You have the network interface, you have the internet, you have the transport layer, you have the application layer. And these things are extremely important because you have Ethernet, you have IP version 4, IP version 6, you have TCP, UDP, IP. And then above this, you have the application layer. The internet is an application that's running on these protocols that are layered and stacked on each other. Well, when you come over here and you look at what's happening with DeFi, DeFi is trying to be the internet of value. This is important that you understand that. Imagine me being able to tokenize real estate, and I can exchange that real estate with you without having to go through any intermediary, without having to go through any third party. You and I, no escrow or anything, where the code would be law. So this is very important that you start understanding the stack where you have Ethereum, and on top of that, you have protocols, right? And quote unquote, like decentralized central banks like Aave or Maker or Compound that can facilitate lending and borrowing, right? So that would be like the asset layer. And then you have protocols above that. And then you start thinking about the application layer and all of these different protocols that are going to operate with each other, similar to how the internet operates and uses all of these other protocols to be able to basically allow you to browse the web. And what I want to do, because I know some of you don't really have a tech background, I want to really just briefly summarize some of these layers and what they do with the internet so that you can just start understanding where we're going with DeFi. So it says right here, it says TCP IP5, right? Layer model summary. Before we discuss each layer, let's briefly summarize what each layer does. As you might have guessed, the application layer is where applications requiring network communications live. Examples of these applications include email clients and web browsers. These applications use the transport layer to send requests to connect to remote hosts, right? So this is HTTP, the HTTP protocol. This is the FTP protocol, and this is the SMTP protocol. This is what you use every day. You don't even know that, but SMTP protocol basically is your email. When you use email, that's a protocol that's operating over all of these other protocols. You have the transport layer. The transport layer establishes the connection between applications running on different hosts. It uses TCP for reliable connections and UDP for fast connections. It keeps track of the processes running in the applications above it by assigning port numbers to them and uses the network layer to access the TCP/IP network. Then you have the network layer. The network layer is responsible for creating the packets that move across the network. It uses IP addresses to identify the packet's source and destination. Then you have the data link layer. The data link layer is responsible for creating the frames that move across the network. These frames encapsulate the packets and use MAC addresses to identify the source and destination. And then you have the physical layer. The physical layer encodes and decodes the bits found in a frame and includes the transceivers that drives and receives the signals on the network. This is what makes up the internet. This is what's allowing you and I right now to communicate over the internet, these protocols. Now think about it. It took what? 25 years now for the internet to get to the point where it's at today. When you start thinking about DeFi, being that we're already a connected society, it's not going to take 25 years for cryptocurrency to start capturing real world wealth and value, for this wealth transfer to happen. This is going to happen in a matter of 3 to 5 years because we're already connected. It took 25 years for us to get to where we are today, right? Now, remember, the internet's growing at an exponential pace, right? At an exponential rate. So just think about what's going to happen with crypto in general. Look at these booms that we're experiencing right now. Like when you look at, I know a lot of you will have Ripple, like look at this, as I said yesterday, right? There's nothing above it. Ripple has clear ceiling to $2 to $1. There's nothing above it. If you look at Ethereum, it's the same thing, right? There's nothing above Ethereum as far as just from a technical perspective, because we went through this long basing period. And as I said, when you start looking at what Ethereum is trying to do, this is not the ICO craze and hype phase. We were talking about real money and value being locked in these protocols and people actually using them. And as I said to you before, right now, the only type of collateral that you can basically use in quote unquote DeFi is other cryptocurrencies, right? And you have to over collateralize your loan. And I think with ETH, you can borrow up to 75 or 65% of the ETH that you basically put down as collateral to get the stablecoin DAI. Well, we need different types of collateral. And as I said, when you look at if you come over here and you pull up all of the world's assets, even bringing gold onto the blockchain and tokenizing gold, that's $10.9 trillion. And that's much higher because that's at $17.15 for gold. We know that gold's higher than $1,715, right? Look at the stock market right here. It says the stock market's worth $89 trillion. Well, what if we start tokenizing these companies and these corporations or these stocks and we bring them onto the blockchain? Those are other forms of collateral. That's money that has to come into the decentralized finance ecosystem, right? So there's so many different places that you can take this and where you can go with this technology if you're paying attention. And this is why I keep trying to stress to you guys, we're so early in terms of employment, entrepreneurship, and being an investor, because less than 1% of the world's population has even engaged this type of technology in the first place. And if you come over here and you look at this, it says this is internet users, right? It's basically calculating how many people are currently on the internet. And as of today, there's 4.7 billion people using the internet worldwide. It says around 40% of the world's population has an internet connection today. In 1995, it was less than 1%. So if you look at the growth rate of Bitcoin or just crypto in general, we're following the same growth rate as the internet, because less than 1% of the world's population has engaged in any type of crypto transactions as of today, right? So we have so much room to grow and so much opportunity in front of us. And as I said before, when you start thinking about how much inflation is going to be created based upon what's happening right now in the world. The Federal Reserve put together a $7.5 trillion lending facility in a weekend. You mean to tell me you don't think one out of that $7 trillion can't end up just in crypto in general? 1 trillion out of that 7.5. The CARES Act was what? About, I think, 3 trillion altogether, maybe 2.73. You don't think that 1 trillion of that can't end up in crypto? Now remember, this is just one country and one central bank. What about the ECB? Right? There's other countries that have central banks as well. Other countries that has to monetize debt as well. So when you start thinking about where this can go, we're early. We're in the early stages as to what we should be doing. And if you've been dollar cost averaging, if you've been prudent in your investing and listening to the right people, then you're thriving right now. You're laughing all the way to the bank. Now, I want to show you something. This guy right here, this person said, Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles. Facebook, the most popular media owner, creates no content. Alibaba, the most valuable retailer, has no inventory. Airbnb, the largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. Tom Goodwin, right? So then you have this troll right here. He says, such a dumb myth. Uber does own cars. Facebook does create content. Airbnb does own real estate. That's not the context in which he was trying to convey the message. We are the value that makes YouTube valuable. Yes, YouTube may produce content, but we produce most of the content that makes the platform popular. It's called the network effect, right? Where the users are makes the network more valuable, right? That's why it's called YouTube. You are the content. You are the creator. So yes, over time, they may start creating content, but that's not what made YouTube popular. A majority of the people on YouTube is what makes YouTube valuable. It's the same thing with Uber. The drivers is what makes Uber valuable. The fact that the drivers are willing to work for cheap on their own hours, right? So when you start understanding this world that we're moving into, this shareable economy that we're moving into, that was the context of the message that was trying to be conveyed from Tom Goodwin. He wasn't saying that Uber doesn't own any vehicles. What he was saying is that we're moving into this economy where everything is being shared and is quote unquote being democratized. Now we're moving into an economy that's going to be decentralized, right? Where it's going to be more of a fair and open economy. Because if you look at the traditional banking system and the financial system, legacy finance is based upon manipulation, it's based upon monopoly, it's based upon using regulators and regulation to kill competition. Like John D. Rockefeller said, competition is a sin, right? So for so long, when we're dealing in legacy finance, they get to pick and choose who the winners and losers are. For the first time, you as a retail investor, you have a chance to beat Wall Street, right? Crypto was mainly a retail phenomenon. Now we see the big institutions getting in. Now we see the PayPals, the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgans getting involved. But the beautiful thing about decentralization is that it's open, it's permissionless, it's borderless, and it's trustless. That's the most important thing. And like I said, as this ecosystem grows, as the network grows, as more and more people become into this ecosystem, it's going to make the ecosystem more valuable. And this goes back to Ethereum and the value proposition that Ethereum has. I cannot think of any other DeFi platforms, smart contract platforms, dApp platforms, right? Tezos, Cardano comes to mind. If you come here to DeFi Pulse and you look at this index, do you see any other protocol, any other blockchain up here besides Ethereum? Maker is on Ethereum. Wrapped BTC is on Ethereum. Look at the amount of value right now. Total value locked in DeFi is $14 billion. That's all locked into Ethereum. So they have the network effect, meaning that they are the YouTube today. Ethereum is the Facebook today. Ethereum is the Airbnb of today because they captured the network effect. Compounds on Ethereum, Aave is on Ethereum, Uniswap, Curve, Synthetics, Sushi. And this is real money, wealth, locked into these different DeFi protocols. Now, could this change over time? Maybe. But what have we learned about network effects? Humans are very slow to change. Once they start down a certain path or they get used to something, they stick with it. Think about search engines. We have other search engines. We have Bing, we have Yahoo, but predominantly everyone uses what? YouTube. I mean, not YouTube. Everyone uses Google. We have Bing, we have other search engines, but everyone uses Google. So it's important that you understand where we're going with this and the potential that you have in front of you. So right now, if you look at the ETH contract, let's refresh this Twitter page, see where we're at right now. Right now we're at 87.8%. So we're pretty much basically we're about what 12.2% away from doing that. About basically finish funding the contract to launch the beacon chain. So we're basically there. Bitcoin is allowed to be on Ethereum because you basically give it to a custodian and they wrap it and they create a token of Bitcoin, right? They're tokenizing Bitcoin. It's the same thing with real estate. As I was saying earlier, you can tokenize assets and bring them onto the blockchain and digitize them. Start thinking about non-fungible tokens. Start thinking about collector's items. Start thinking about art and being able to tokenize art and bring that onto the blockchain. Those are real world assets that you can start bringing onto the blockchain and making them collateral. Like, this is very, very important that you understand where, like, what's happening here and what's getting ready to happen. And again, if you follow what's happening with the Great Reset, these are 8 of the predictions that they have for you. And I'll play this for you right now. It says 8 predictions for the world in 2030. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by a drone. Prediction number 2, the US won't be the world's leading superpower. A handful of countries will dominate. Right? So, this is not me making this up. The powers that be are also saying that you will own nothing. Right? The powers that be are, and we know that they shape what's to come. Right? So we live in a shareable economy as it is, right? More people like to go to Airbnb than hotels, especially millennials. A lot of people don't like this whole idea of minimalism. All of these trends tie into what's happening with crypto, with the whole idea of decentralization, of cutting out middlemen, of cutting out intermediaries. So it's important that you start understanding. Now, I'm not here to say that these things are correct. I'm not here to say to you or speak for you and say that you should accept these things. I'm just telling you where the trends are trending, in which direction the wind is blowing. And the wind is blowing and it's telling you that, decentralization is here to stay, right? We're going into a cashless society. Now you have to ask yourself, what type of cashless society do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a cashless society where the central bank basically says how much money you can spend, when you can spend it, and where you can spend it, where they're going to track and monitor everything you do? Or do you want to have some type of sovereignty and control over what's happening with, within your economy, your personal economy, right? So now what I want to do is I want to play what the PayPal CEO said today. Give me 1 second. Let's pull this over here.
Okay, and all this commentary is worth noting follows PayPal's announcement that about a month ago, that it would allow users to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrency on its platform. Joining us right now is the man behind that very decision, PayPal CEO Dan Schulman. Dan, it's great to see you this morning. We have watched the run-up in value of Bitcoin since you made that announcement, the idea of it being adopted much more globally, and the view, I think, that other rivals of yours and others in the financial community are going to be coming in at some point behind you. We'll see whether they do. But let me just ask you just straight up about the value proposition of Bitcoin, because a lot of people say, what is its true value? What is the inherent value of Bitcoin? How do you value it? I know you own some yourself. How do you value it?
Yeah. Well, I think all forms of money are based on trust and set values that come from that trust. I think if you take a step back, Andrew, especially with the pandemic, you've seen the use of cash decline precipitously. Something like 40 to 70% of consumers no longer want to handle cash. And just like every industry is digitizing right now, that is also happening in the financial services world. There is no question that people are flocking to digital payments and digital forms of currency. And one of the things that we looked at, and we talked to regulators around the world, central banks around the world, and it became clear to me that it's a matter of, not if, but when and how you'll start to see more and more central banks issue forms of digital currencies. And I think you'll have more and more utility happen with cryptocurrencies. One of the things that we allowed is not just making it easy to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies, but very importantly, early next year, we're going to allow cryptocurrencies to be a funding source.
One key thing he said is, as this grows and as more and more people start to use it, you're going to start to get more utility and more things that you can do with this technology and where you can use it. And that just goes back to Metcalfes Law. If you come here, right, the title of this article says, why Bitcoin is skyrocketing. Let's just remove Bitcoin out of the equation. Just why is crypto in general mooning the way that it's mooning? It says in the 1970s and early 1980s, a young entrepreneur named Robert Metcalfe proposed that a simple equation would be responsible for explosive growth in the value of technology. You may not have heard of him before reading this, but he's best known for inventing the Ethernet cable. Today, he's a venture capitalist and a professor at the University of Texas. Metcalfe theorized that the value of a network is roughly proportional to the square of the number of users who adopt it. To give an example, if you are the only person in the world with a smartphone, it wouldn't be super useful because you couldn't reach anyone. However, as the adoption of the smartphones grew over time, the value of the network grew proportionally. Today, the world's most valuable company, Apple, has ridden this exact wave. Much of the explosive growth of technology companies can be attributed to so-called network effects, where every new person who joins a network makes the network more valuable. So now, as I said to you, crypto in general, it's on the same growth trajectory that the internet was on back in 1995, when there was just 5.5 million people using it. As more and more people come into these networks, as more brighter, as much more smarter and more intelligent people, they decide to leave the Teslas of the world, the Apples of the world, the big mega financial firms and institutions, and come over here into crypto. They're going to make better products, better services in crypto, and the network effect's going to take hold. And that's what we're seeing happen now. I remember 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I used to have trolls come on my videos and say, oh, where can you use Bitcoin at? Where can you use your crypto at? What good is it to have it? Well, now we can use it at over 26 million different merchants with PayPal. You don't invest in something once they've already figured it out. It's too late then. You invest in things because there's problems. You see, when you take a step back, right, and you understand, look at the Peter Schiffs of the world and the Dan Pinners, who they don't see any value in this technology. And then you have people like myself, people like you in the chat. You see value. That is what makes a market. You believe something is overvalued or a scam. I believe it's undervalued and it's the future. Two people create a market, a buyer and a seller. One of us is going to be right. Because see, what I'm saying is I'm not banking on what the technology is today. I'm banking on what the technology can be tomorrow. What the technology could be in 3 years, 5 years is what I'm banking on. And when you're investing in these decentralized protocols, you're investing in the collective mind share and the intellectual capital behind these protocols. Like when you start to really sit down with people who are working on different projects in the DeFi ecosystem, these are some of the brightest and smartest people in the world that's solving these problems. That's what you're buying into when you're investing into these protocols. And this is why it's extremely important. Now, when we start talking about the network effect, that goes back to, like I was saying to you before, when you look at, a YouTube or a Facebook or an Airbnb, like it's hard for the second in line to try to compete with them because now they have the social capital, they have the awareness, and they have the branding. Like you don't think twice about using Google, you just use it, right? It's just second nature to you. Although other search engines, they exist. You just don't use them. You just automatically Google it. It's the same thing with, video sharing platforms. Other video sharing platforms exist, but most people prefer to go to YouTube. This is what happens once you capture, a network effect. And then going back to, like I was saying with the cell phone, this is something I came across as well. Where is this at? With Tesla. I got Tesla completely wrong. I'll admit that. I did not see Tesla. I saw the value in Tesla. I didn't see Tesla doing what they're doing this as quick as they're able to do it. It says at $492 billion, Tesla's market cap is now higher than the market cap of GM, Ford, Fiat Chrysler, Honda, Hyundai, Daimler, Ferrari, BMW, and Volkswagen combined. Right? I want you to think about that. Combined. Now, why were they able to capture that much wealth so quickly? Number one, because of inflation, because of money printing. We know that. And also because of what? The on-ramps now to get involved. Information moves quick today. It's not like in the 60s where you had to fax things and send stuff by carrier pigeon. No, information's instantaneously right now, right? So the minute Tesla releases earnings or releases news, we all get the alert via Twitter. We all get the alert via email. We all get the alert via a news notification. So now you're able to act so much quicker than you could before. This is what's going to happen with crypto. Once more and more people come into the ecosystem, it's going to happen so quick and so rapid because right now, most of the people in crypto are just crypto enthusiasts. We're starting to get institutional money coming in now. But think about pension funds, mutual funds that's just sitting on the sideline. They're sitting on $18, $19 trillion. When you think about Bitcoin being digital gold, it's only worth $338 billion. The entire gold market capitalization is over $10 trillion. So it's much easier for the price of Bitcoin to double. So if I'm looking at it from just a pure risk to reward ratio from a perspective of risk, what do you think institutional investors are going to start putting their money? And then once you start understanding that there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, then that makes the idea of it being a store of value. Well, guess what? You can store your value in Bitcoin and then you can wrap it and put it on Ethereum as collateral and use it to go and get loans through Maker and Aave. So it's just there's so many different things that you can do with crypto because of interoperability. Now, when you start thinking about this, Ethereum is going to be a capital asset as well, right? Because ETH is the underlying currency. And if you're staking your ETH, you're basically creating a bond once we move the proof of stake with your 32 ETH. So there's so much flexibility, right, and options that you can use and do with crypto, and you can do it instantly. And you don't have to depend and worry about middlemen and dealing in opaque markets. You can do it in an open, trustless way. That's extremely powerful once you start thinking about what's going on and where you can potentially go with this technology. And then, as I said before, when you start thinking about just how large the financial services industry is, and start thinking about it in the global perspective, I mean, you don't think that we can't capture 10 trillion? Right? It's just it's so much it's just a no-brainer. There's one more thing that I wanted to cover. Right here. It says PayPal bought 70% of all newly mined Bitcoin last month as demand skyrockets. And this is why this is important. And I spoke about this the other day as well. So forgive me if I'm repeating this. Once you understand that the previous boom that we had in 2017 and in 2018, we had the halving happen, right? So there's less new supply of Bitcoin coming onto the marketplace, right? So once you understand that the block subsidy has been cut in half, and now that buying pressure is going to make this moon so much faster because there's less supply available. And most people who buy Bitcoin, they hold it, right? So it's not like people are actually out here spending their Bitcoin and using their Bitcoin. So this is how you can see Bitcoin go up 5 weeks in a row like this, right? You can see it pump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row, and it can keep pumping. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with digital scarcity. That's extremely powerful when you do understand there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. So in terms of a store of value, this is harder money than gold, right? Because gold, based upon the stock to flow model, you're constantly finding new gold to the tune of about 3% on an annual basis. So gold does have a little inflation, right? It's not like gold is completely deflationary. So you have to understand that and keep that in mind. But I just want to read a little bit of this article, and then I'll start looking in the comments and see what's going on. So it says, now that's according to estimates by hedge fund manager Pantera Capital, as revealed in its latest monthly blockchain letter. Together with Square's Cash app and the two companies are buying more than 100% of all newly issued virgin Bitcoin, it says. The letter said demand for PayPal's crypto service, which runs on Paxos fiat to crypto exchange, Itbit, had hit the roof. The exchange was doing a fairly constant amount of trading volume when PayPal went live. Volume started exploding, it observed, adding, the increase in Itbit volume implies that within 4 weeks of going live, PayPal is already buying almost 70% of new supply of Bitcoin. Now add that on top of Grayscale. You can start to see we have a lot of room to the upside. A lot of room to the upside. So let me look inside of the comment of the chat and see what's going on in the chat. Let's go back a little bit and see what's going on. And I see a lot of you guys in here shilling and pitching Ripple. As I said earlier, remember, Enron had a market cap. Enron was once a big stock. Scams can have a market cap, and scams and schemes can pump. Lehman Brothers pumped. Lehman Brothers had a market cap. Eventually, all scams and schemes go to zero. Eventually. BitConnect had a rally, BitConnect had a pump, and BitConnect had a market cap, and eventually BitConnect went to zero. So, for those of you who are investing in Ripple, congratulations. I believe that there's enough money out here for everyone to make money. I'm not into tribalism where it's like all or nothing. I have to be a Bitcoin maximalist or ETH maximalist. If you like Ripple, I'm looking at it from the pure technology standpoint. As I've been saying, you could go back and pull up my previous videos. I've stated the same thing over and over, and I'll say it again. This is crypto. Everything can pump. Literally, everything can pump in crypto because we're so early. Litecoin can pump. Ripple can pump. Cardano can pump. But in terms of their technology and their use cases, I just don't see the need for them. And I'll stand by that. But again, you are welcome to invest in what you want to invest in. I'm just a guy on YouTube sharing his opinion. And I see we have a donation. Been following you for the past 2 months, loving the content. Thank you for the donation, Julian Barlow. I appreciate it. It definitely helps me free up some time to create content. And that's my whole thing. I want to be able to bring you guys different content. Too many people on YouTube just want to shill coins all day. And my coin is better than your coin. No one really talks about the technology and talk about the use cases. And I hope that I can do that. I hope that I can bring you guys value from a different perspective rather than talking about what's the next coin to 100x. We just witnessed Pickle Finance crash and burn. For those of you who are in my tech academy, in my academy that I created, this is why I don't pitch liquidity mining and yield farming to you. Because the minute I laid eyes on it, I could see that this is not something that the average person should be putting their money into and gambling. I don't believe in gambling. I believe in taking calculated risk when I'm investing. You guys know I do manage other people's money. So I can't go back to my investors and say, hey, I put your money in Pickle Finance and I lost 90% of your money. They would sue the living what out of me, right? So I talk about things on this channel that I believe can genuinely make you money. I talk about things on this channel that I believe is a quality product. They have a good team and they have a working project. Too many people in crypto are just looking to make a quick buck, which is why they come to you and they sell you, Pickle Finance and Harvest Finance, and it was Sushi, and it was Yam. And you need to hold these content creators accountable that pitch this garbage to you. Because at the end of the day, when you have a following, you are responsible to the people that follow you. And one thing you have to understand with these smart contract audits, if I'm an auditor and you pay me $100,000 to audit this smart contract, the hell is $100,000 when I can rug pull you for 20 million, right? Like, think about it. Just when you start thinking about the game theory in that, right? Am I incentivized to do the right thing? If I find a bug in your smart contract in the code and you only pay me $100,000, but I know I can rug pull you and scam you or not scam you, but arbitrage and exploit the smart contract for 20 million. What do you think the auditor's going to do? He's going to say, or she's going to say, everything's fine with this smart contract. It's great. And then they're going to exploit that function in the smart contract and rug pull you for 20 million. How many times are you going to keep falling for the same schemes and scams? At a certain point, you have to be smart enough to not be dumb and fall for this stuff. But again, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Cliff Smith says he has 32 ETH on deck. There's other services where, like Staker and Rocket Pool, where you don't need 32 ETH to be a validator. So you can basically pool your ETH with other people. Excuse me, but they take like a cut of your staking rewards. So I don't know if you really want to do that. And again, you're trusting someone else with your ETH. You know how I feel about that. Not your keys, not your crypto. We got involved in crypto to get rid of middlemen. And to get rid of intermediaries. So I don't see the need for you to do stuff like that. I would hope that some of you are smart enough to not fall for that okie doke as well. And that's one of the things that you have to be careful about. I understand there's a learning curve based upon the technology for some of you, but you have to be willing to learn. We're going into a cashless society. We're going through the fourth industrial revolution where technology is going to dominate the world. So you might as well just start learning it now, right? Like literally learn it. You can even go on the test net and play around if you don't want to lose real ETH in the, playing around with some of these different protocols. See what else is going on in here. I believe China's definitely going to become the next superpower. It's not even a question of if, it's just a question of when. The United States is done. The project failed. The whole idea of liberty, justice, freedom, Americans don't care about that type of stuff anymore. Right? Let's just be honest. Like, they voted for Joe Biden. I mean, the guy has dementia. Like, out of a country of 300 million plus people, the two best candidates that we could come up with is Trump and Biden. That already tells you that we have to have smarter people in this country. So the fact that you have to pick between a Biden and a Trump should already tell you this country's finished. So China is definitely going to be one of the major drivers going forward, China and Russia, in terms of the Great Reset. Your goal should be trying to be hereafter and thrive in this, right? Your goal should not be stuck, trying to debate about politics and which party is better, because at the end of the day, the Democrat Party is no different than the Republican Party. It's just the left and right wing of the same bird that's flying towards the same direction. You have to make sure that you can withstand what's to come. You have to make sure that you are networking with the right people, that you are acquiring the correct skills so that you can thrive when what's going forward. I tell you guys this all the time. We literally just lived through the roaring 20s. History doesn't repeat itself, but it goddamn sure rhymes. And now we are going to experience the 30s. We are going to experience war. We're going to experience famine. We're going to experience depressions. But it's going to be dislocated in the way that it happens. It's not going to be this, across the board, just dystopian, Mad Max scenario. No, certain parts of the economy, like those of us in crypto right now, we're experiencing a boom. We're going to build wealth, right? We're going to thrive in this great reset. And then there are going to be other people in other pockets of the economy that will struggle, right? It all depends on where you are. If you are a developer, if you are a programmer, if you understand technology, you're going to be able to work remotely anywhere in the world, right? And build applications and work on projects, right? And then other people, they're going to, they're going to be in the streets rioting and protesting. Guys, we already see a vision of what's to come. Just look at what the Black Lives Matter and Antifa people are doing. That's only going to become the norm, right? Think about it. Like, if you go to certain parts of Europe, they've been doing that over there for the past 5 years with all of these different austerity measures and things that they were going through. I believe it was they call them the pigs, Portugal, Ireland, Spain, and Greece. They were already going through austerity measures and cuts and rioting and burning things down. That's just translating and coming over here, right? So we know where we're going, and the country's divided. Clearly, just look at the way the vote went down. Like, I believe Biden only got 6 million more votes. So clearly, the whole idea of the Great Reset is to create polarization, right? Like, to break the middle. There's no middle class economically. There's no middle ground politically. There's no middle ground socially. Like, that's the whole purpose of the Great Reset, is to create this type of chaos. So we know what's to come. Mhm. Who 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 cares who's more racist? Do you even understand how childish that conversation would be to talk about who's more racist? Right? We're talking about, does the system serve the people or not? Right? This is exactly what they want you doing. They want you sitting up here talking about gender, religion. But at the end of the day, the system's still failing you. It does not matter who you vote in; it's still going to fail you. So, what's the difference? Like, you have to start thinking about creating new systems, right? Right? It's still going to fail you. The system is still going to fail you. So what's the difference? You need to start creating things that can, focusing on creating things that are going to impact you and that removes the human element. And see, that's the whole idea of decentralization, is getting rid of middlemen. That's the key thing. Getting rid of middlemen and allowing people to manipulate and control things. Getting these people out the way. That's the thing that you should be focusing on. I saw 2 donations come in for the collection plate. Thank you, Ryan Glenn. Lamar Morris, thanks to you, I understand stores of value. No problem, man. That's my whole idea, is just to bring this information to more people. I was talking about that earlier about tokenizing real estate. That's the whole idea. Think about how big DeFi is going to be once we start bringing more assets in and tokenizing them, tokenizing real estate, tokenizing stocks and digitizing them and bringing that type of value onto DeFi. It's insane as to where we can go. Like, think about this. Total value locked in DeFi right now is only 14 billion. I believe, let me pull up this article. Total real estate worldwide is what, $260 trillion? Here we go. Global real estate. Global real estate's worth $280 trillion. $280 trillion. $280 trillion. You mean to tell me we can't get 10% of that into DeFi? Let's say Tezos takes off. Let's say Cardano takes off. You mean to tell me we can't split it a third each way? We're early as far as how much wealth is going to be in here. Again, Ethereum's only worth $68 billion. Right? When you start understanding, you can tokenize anything, any physical asset, art, wine, collectibles, and bring that onto the blockchain. Because as of right now, the only collateral that you can really use, I believe you can use basic attention token, you can use Link, you can use Bitcoin, you can use Ethereum, and I think there's like 2 other ones you can use, and they all have like different tiers as based upon like how much you can borrow against it, right? So you have to over collateralize your loan. But the only real collateral that you can use in these DeFi protocols like Aave, Maker, and Compound is other crypto assets. So when you use like protocols like Centrifuge, you're now going to be able to bring physical assets from the real world into crypto and have different types of collateral. And ETH is going to be like a bond when you think about the fact that you're going to be able to stake it and be able to get rewards. Be easy. Are you a member of My Tech Academy? If you're a member of My Tech Academy, go into the community section. There's a link to go into our Slack group. I've been emailing a lot of you guys telling you about the Slack group because there's over 200 of you inside of the academy, but only 40 of you are in the Slack group. That doesn't make any sense to me. In the community section inside of My Tech Academy, there's a post for the Slack group. Just click it and set up your email or whatever and come into the Slack group. I've been trying to email you guys and tell you guys about this for so long. It's just, I guess some of you may be busy with life. I understand, life happens sometimes, but yeah, we welcome you. Come into the Slack group. We're waiting for you. We want, for the other 160 plus of you, come into the Slack group. We're waiting for you. Yeah, third eye explosion. I agree with you. Spread your investments. Guys, I'm not just a crypto person. I have gold. I have silver. I believe in owning precious metal stocks. You should own land. You should be networking with people. Should the Great Reset get out of control, right? Like own different things, right? And again, don't be a drone. Like, for example, I'm not a fan of Ripple. Some of you are. That's great. You're making money. We can all win. See, this is the beautiful thing about investing. We don't have to see eye to eye, but we can still all win. I like what you want. I've been telling you about Ethereum on this channel since it was $123. I've been telling you about ETH, right? Get involved. This is the end. And it's still early, but again, you know, we don't buy pumps here. We don't buy on green. We dollar cost average. We buy pullbacks, right? Right. We buy pullbacks. So be be mindful of that. Don't FOMO, because I know some of you want to FOMO right now. I know a lot of you have the fear of missing out. That's what FOMO stands for. But you have to be disciplined. And if you are going to buy right now, you should be buying a small percentage of, whatever amount of capital you have to invest. So let's say you had $10,000 you was looking to invest. You should not be investing no more than $500 right now. Cliff Smith, I've been saying that. I've been saying I'm not a fan of Ripple. I'm not a fan of Litecoin. I own a little bit of Cardano. I used to have a really, really big bag, but I got tired of Charles and the delays. But I said it, this is crypto. Everything's going to pump. If Bitcoin pumps, everything's going to pump. That's just the reality. Let's see what else is going on here. I own VeChain. I love VeChain. I think VeChain's a very, very powerful project. I own VeChain. I own VeChain, Basic Attention Token, Augur. Like, as far as like having big amounts of money, I believe in the VeChain project and what they're trying to do. I think they have a great. They actually have a product market fit, and I think that that's important, right? When you're looking at, investing, you have to say to yourself, does what they're creating, is there a market for this, right? And being able to have a blockchain and being able to track supply of goods and services that's a no-brainer. When you start thinking about like the luxury goods market and counterfeit goods and being able to put that on a blockchain where you don't have to worry about people counterfeiting, luxury items and parts for cars and stuff like that, VeChain's just a no-brainer. There's another one I think called Origin Trail. Is that what it's called? Origin Trail? I think it's Origin Trail. That's another good project that's similar to that. But I have a big bag of VeChain. I'll read my list down to you guys again. I scooped up a lot of Link at $7.70 and $7.83. I own Bitcoin, big bag of Bitcoin, big bag of Ethereum, big bag of Chainlink now, bag of Polkadot, a little bit of Cardano. I think I have like some EOS left from before, but nothing crazy. Monero's my baby. That allows me to do some magic things with Monero. If you know Monero, the privacy features, and if you properly know how to obscure your transactions, Monero's a beast. Atom, have a bag of Atom. A little bit of Dash, VeChain. I sold all of the Uni tokens that were airdropped to me. I've recommended that you guys do that as well. I own Matic. What else? Basic Attention Token, 0x. I have a bag of 0x. What else? I used to own Decred. I don't own Decred anymore. I'm looking at this Ren project. I really like Ren. Like what I've been studying the technology, I really like Ren. I'm telling you, I think that that's going to be big. Augur. Definitely when you start looking into derivatives and prediction markets, Augur is a no-brainer. And I think that's it right here for what I have. I was looking to get into BAM, but it started taking off. Just to play for derivative, play for Chainlink. You know, people are always going to look for like the second best thing. I have some Engine coin. It was airdropped to me when it first launched. That's it. I don't really do anything outside of the top 100. Matic. I have Matic. I was looking at Avalanche. Looking at it. I didn't put any money into it, though. I was looking at it. I remember Verge used to be top 25. If I'm not mistaken, and I think they got 51% attacked years ago. Yeah, I think that's it. But Enigma used to be top 100. Nest is a decent protocol too. I was looking at that as well. I haven't put any money into it yet, but I was looking at it. That's it. I don't even know any of these coins right here. Like I have no idea what they do. Steam. I remember with Steam, like you could get Steam back dollars. You can create like garbage content and like people would like upvote you and stuff like that and be able to you can game the system. I used to do that back in the day with Steam. Wand Chain. I used to own that. That was supposed to be. Oh, I own Ontology. Ontology. I have a bag of Ontology. It's not performing well, but I have a bag of Ontology, and I'm working on that for you guys. The Excel spreadsheet I showed you guys that with the whole tracker and stuff like that. It just takes a while to put it together. We spoke about that during our live stream yesterday. What was it, yesterday? For the group. That's it. Yeah. I don't own any of these things. I don't go dumpster diving. Guys, I deal with trolls all the time. I deal with trolls all the time. I have people now. The new thing I have people doing is they join my Tech Academy because we have a free 7-day trial, right? So they'll join the academy and then they'll say, "Oh, I can't find a cancel button." So now I have trolls. Clearly, all you have to do is click your profile and go and cancel your subscription. So I've had 4 people now join and say, "Oh, they can't find the cancel button." You know, this is what happens when you call out frauds and scammers. As I said before, they take my emails, they spam my email addresses. That's what people do. You know, listen, people are they're crazy. You know, people are they just, it is what it is. They don't like you calling out fraud. It amazes me that they claim that they love black people or that they're pro-black, but they support people that abuse black people, manipulate black people, steal from black people, and lie to black people. And if you speak out about it, about the fact that these are black people abusing other black people, these are black people scamming and stealing from other black people. If you speak out about that, somehow you are a coon, an agent, an Uncle Tom, a Sambo, a self-hating black man. You know, it's just it's sick. But again, that's why I stopped covering that content, because you just, you know, hurt people, right? And a person will want to hurt you just because you're trying to help them, right? Because when a person's used to being mistreated and abused, they can't receive love, right? Like love and being genuine to them is they can't receive it. So that's why I stopped even covering that stuff, because it's just like, it's pointless. You don't get anything from it, right? So They order food, they send it to my house, they do all kind of crazy stuff, right? These people are sick. That's what they do. So, you just gotta fall back and just listen, allow people to, believe what they want and live the lifestyles that they want to live. And if they want to be taken advantage of, then let them. What else are we looking at, right? So in terms of Ripple, I told you guys during the live stream for the group yesterday, if Ripple clears this, which they did, which the project has been able to do, look at this volume. Ripple's breaking out on volume, right? Like, this is insane. So Ripple has a long way to go. Right? Ripple has a long way to go. Like, there's nothing above it. Right? There's nothing. The same thing with Ethereum. Like, I don't see any like resistance above it, just from a technical standpoint. World Citizen, they've been saying that for a very, very long time, that there's technology that can track Monero. You have to understand that, do they have technology that can track Monero, or do they have phishing schemes, right, where they can do social engineering attacks that they can basically track your computer, or, get you to click on a button or get you to click on some type of a page, and then they can track your transactions? Can they actually decrypt Monero, or do they have to use a social engineering attack to do it, right? See, these are the things that you have to understand about when you start talking about the technology. Like, can they really break stealth addresses? Can they break ring signatures? No, they can't do it, right? So I've been hearing about this special software that they have for years that's going to break Monero. Most of the time, what they're doing is they're utilizing social engineering attacks, where, again, they get you to go on certain websites where they can then start, cookieing you and tracking you and stuff like that. If you're doing something illegal, I have to say this properly so that I don't incriminate myself, right? So when you are doing something illegal, you should have the technical know-how of how to properly cover your tracks, right? If you are just using Monero for privacy, and you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to hide. But if you are, you should understand that, number one, you should be building your own computer. You should be bootstrapping any software that you put on your computer onto the hardware. You should never, ever use any identifying information on that computer that you're doing anything illegal on. So you should be very, very smart with what you're doing if you're using Monero. Most hackers, especially black hat hackers, they know what the hell they're doing. You're not tracking them. You're not finding them. You're not catching them. Even with Bitcoin, and you can track Bitcoin. If you know what the hell you're doing, you're not getting tracked, right? VPN, Tor, bootstrapping your software. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. Now, again, if you're sloppy and you don't really know the technology, you're not taking the time to educate yourself, then I'm pretty sure that they have some type of way that they can use a social engineering attack to track your Monero transaction. But if you know what you're doing, you don't have anything to worry about. Right. So you just, like, again, I'm an OG in the crypto space. Like James Doe says, post-quantum cryptography has been around for a while already. Eli's on the money. The human factor, 99 out of 100 times, is the point of failure. 100%. I try to give you guys information where you can read between the lines of what I'm trying to say. Because, I don't want to incriminate myself. Or I don't want you to be like, oh, Eli told me to do this. I'm just telling you that if you understand the technology and you understand, and this is why I keep trying to tell you guys to get into coding and stuff like that, because you'll understand the scripts and the things that they have inside of certain web browsers and how they track you, how they cookie you. You know, like when you understand that type of technology, like I know how they engineer attacks to be able to monitor and track you, and it's all through like scripting and stuff like that. So you need to know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you don't have anything to worry about. Trust me when I tell you, they have not broken the encryption of Monero. What they're doing is they found ways to get you to basically tell on yourself. I don't know anything about NIO. I have not been looking at stocks, guys. I can't give you any information about stocks. I'm all into crypto. I'm where the money's going to flow. All that money in the stock market has to come to us, and that's what I'm focused on. I don't know anything about NIO. I just know that if they're trying to compete with Tesla, look at this. Ethereum 613. Look at this. $613. Man, I tell you. And I've been stacking my ETH, man. Woo! Well, Terrell Green, that would be one of the most foolish things you ever did, to join anything that Jay Morrison has. You know, and again, this isn't about Jay Morrison, but just want to prove a point to you that this goes back to the opportunity cost on money. Could you imagine right now if you have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 locked up in that fund, and you're missing out on all these gains in crypto? Right? Like, could you imagine that? This is another troll. I swear, I attract all these trolls, man. This is sad. Well, let's see if the contract is fully funded now. The contract may be fully funded now, right? Let's see. We're at 84%. We're at 90% now. Right. So a lot of you are missing out on gains. But we're coming up on an hour and 22 minutes. I'm going to end the stream here. In closing, as I said before, what Ethereum 2.0 is going to do is it's going to allow ETH to truly be able to compete with the legacy financial system in terms of scalability. And once you start understanding that we're early, and you start understanding the network effect, and you look at the suite of protocols that makes up the internet stack, and you start understanding the DeFi stack and where we could potentially go with this, when you start looking at this stack and you look at these layers, you can see that we have a long way to go as far as the amount of opportunity and money. And this goes back, as I said to you guys, from the standpoint of being an investor, from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur, or from the standpoint of even being an employee. You know, getting involved in blockchain technology is going to be extremely lucrative over the next 3 to 5 years. And you need to make sure that you're positioning yourself to do so. I truly believe in this technology. This is our .com bubble. This is the internet 3.0. And Ethereum is trying to be the internet of value, where you will be able to exchange value. When I say exchange value, meaning you and I can trade wine, and we will be able to give up custody of real estate, and it'll all be facilitated by a smart contract where we won't need to escrow money. We won't need to deal with any third parties or intermediaries. That's going to be extremely powerful going forward, just in terms of, you know, the way an economy works. And I look at Ethereum like an economy. Now, again, when you look at DeFi and you come here and you look at DeFi Pulse, you see all of these protocols are stacked on top of Ethereum. You don't see Tezos here. You don't see Cardano. DeFi is Ethereum, and it's Ethereum's to lose. Ethereum has the mover's advantage. So that's where we are right now. On Friday, I'm going to launch the DeFi course. I think that would be the perfect time to do so. I'm also going to have a Black Friday special going on. The Black Friday special, I'm going to open up lifetime memberships again like I did before. That's going to be the surprise that I have for you guys. So again, if you're interested, you'll be able to grab one of those. It'll be coming up in a few days. I think we have 4 more projects to finish in the coding bootcamp, and then we're going to move on to another tier of coding where we're going to get into React.js and start building clones of Netflix, building clones of Amazon and stuff like that. So again, make sure that you're catching up and keeping up with the coding bootcamp. And this is going to be a separate product. So for those of you who are lifetime members, obviously, you have access to everything. You don't have to pay anything additional. But again, I'll be sending out email blasts and stuff like that for you guys, so you'll know what's going on. But again, I'm opening up lifetime memberships again. The actual sales page should be up probably tomorrow. And for those of you who are interested in learning about blockchain technology, we have a 7-day free trial. You're welcome to test it out. We have a coding bootcamp going on. We teach you everything about how to buy, sell, store your cryptocurrency. For those of you looking to consult with me, you can book a consultation. I'm free for the week. And thank you to everyone that donated. I appreciate those of you who donated. It definitely helps the content. I'm glad that you guys like it. I like the content. And with that being said, please like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you click and set it to all. Make sure you join my mailing list so that you can be notified whenever I go live. If you want to dialogue with me, follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. And again, you're more than welcome to join my Tech Academy for a free 7-day trial. James Doe, we definitely can build and talk in the future. Have a blessed and beautiful evening, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow. May your bags continue to pump, because I know mine sure is.